Hello again. For over 30 years, Jeff and Jan Speeden have been running Millstream Gardens. Jeff describes it as a fruit salad business. When they first began, they propagated and sold herb plants. But in the past decade, they've moved to manufacture medicinal ointments and skincare products. They also sell herbal plants through a local health shop and online, and tutor part-time in herbal product manufacture.
Jan and I first met 33 years ago. I'd just come back from overseas and had an interest in using herbs medicinally and things when I was travelling. Jan came to stay, and she'd already been running a herb nursery up in Thames and in Northland, and it was love at first sight. And she moved down to Hawke's Bay. I was living in Hawke's Bay at the time, and we always joked that her dowry was two kids and a combi van full of herb plants and things. So we moved to Otani and set up a little herb nursery there at Gate Sales, and carried on with that for a number of years until we moved here. And in that time we've got 3 grown-up children now. Giles is our youngest, who's come back home to help us with the business. Our market initially was gate sales and wholesaling to health shops around the country. Over the last 5 or 6 years that's changed quite markedly, and now we sell a lot of our products online. Initially our customers were probably the fringe dwellers. Certainly 25-30 years ago herbs weren't really acceptable, to the wider population and things. But over the last 10 years it's been amazing how much more mainstream the use of herbal products and things are. And really in the last 5 years we've noticed a real awareness from new mothers that they have a baby and they suddenly realise actually what I'm going to be putting on my baby's skin isn't so appropriate or good for them, so they suddenly get educated and buy a lot of our products.
It's a real mixture of medicinal herbs and a few culinary herbs and our vegetables all mixed up together. We've tried to make it as compact as we can. So we used to have big sprawling gardens, and we decided that we're getting too old for that. The Mediterranean plants like it hot and dry, so the Hawke's Bay summers they do well, things like rosemary and sages, thymes, oreganos. More of the medicinal herbs are European, and they like a bit richer soil and moisture. So that's quite a challenge to keep everybody happy in one garden. The calendula flowers go in baby bottom cream and eczema, and one of our best sellers is probably comfrey calendula, which is like a first aid kit in a jar, and it fixes just about anything you might do that would hurt a lot. Elderflowers are more skin softener. We put it in aftershave balm, and it goes in the eczema cream too. And we make tinctures with it as well to go in the aftershave balm so that it's not such an oily mix. We pick the calendula flowers pretty much every day. Because it's an annual, we need to either pick it or make sure we deadhead it regularly to keep the plant producing. And the orange one is a particularly good medicinal one rather than the yellow one. So we only have orange flowered ones here. And they go into those big bottles of oil for about a month in the sun, and then we cook them off just enough to dry the moisture out, and that makes sure we don't get any mould in the jars. We've got 2 options. Cold maceration, which is where we put the flowers in jars, and with the leaves we use hot maceration, which is where we've got great big saucepans. We put leaves and olive oil in and cook it really slowly, so it's just bubbling. So it's just enough to get the moisture out of the leaves but not to heat the oil too much. And that takes about 8 hours to cook a big pot of stuff, and then we strain it, filter it, and then store it in the dark until we want to turn it into ointments. You want to do the oil, measure the oil. I'll use these actually. The process is more thorough than just steeping plants. It's actually getting every last bit of goodness into the oil, and you can see when you've finished what's left are just kind of like husks of crispy leaves, but there's no green colour or anything left. When we process the flowers, when we've left them out in the sun for a month, we usually heat them just to make sure that there's no bacteria in there to get the last bits of moisture and goodies out of the flowers. So we still heat process, but again very gently. We have this kind of stages of process. Once we've strained it, it goes into big bulk bottles, which are stored in the dark, and then we decant those into smaller bottles, and we have those all in the kitchen, and then when we've got the recipe that we're working on, we'll pull out the bottles we need and then use the proportions that we've worked out. What we're making this morning is hypercal ointment, which is a combination of Hypericum perforatum or St John's wort flower oil, which is a beautiful red oil, and calendula. And that's a very traditional multi-purpose healing remedy. And we are mixing beeswax with it to thicken it, but other than that, it's just olive oil and plant material.
We've kind of developed quite a range of more complicated products over the years. The one that we get the most gratification for developing is the eczema cream. We make up a cream base, which we sell individually as crocodile skin cream, but to that cream base we add a whole range of other herbal oils we make. It has aloe vera and elderflower, plantain and chickweed, heartsease, chamomile, a whole range of different herbs, and that we get really good results with that for people suffering from eczema. Over the last 2 years we've developed a range of tins. We wanted to get our products into a different range of shops, such as the tourist shops and things. So they're our tried and true recipes, but we've just repackaged them to be a bit more appealing and a bit more eye-catching and things. So this is a photo of the hills here, and this is the comfrey and calendula ointment that we've made for 30 years, but we've repackaged it as She'll Be Right cream. Initially, we got all our recipes from books. 30 years ago, that was basically the only source of where to find recipes and things. But more recently, we use the internet. We're often customer driven. Someone will come to us and say, "Do you make a cream for athlete's foot or cold cream and things?" So we will look at our books, but we'll also research online and come up with a whole range of different remedies and things and put it together. We used to supply a large business a number of years ago where we supplied their baby product range, and we were making 3,000 baby bottom creams, 3,000 moisturisers, and it got to the point where we realised that actually that wasn't really where we wanted to be. We wanted to be small scale and have a lifestyle balance as well.